Welcome to DrupalPod Tutorials. To start, type DrupalPod.com in your browser, which will take you to the repository of DrupalPod. Over here, you will just scroll down to the README. Instructions are fairly simple. Download DrupalPod browser extension for Chrome or Firefox. After that, you'd go to any issue page in Drupal.org, click on the extension, and then you can start with the environment. So here, I'm going to install it for Chrome. Opening that page, add to Chrome, add extension. You will get a message here. Notice that you should still press this puzzle icon and then pin the DrupalPod extension in order to see it at all time, which is much more convenient to use. After installing the DrupalPod browser extension, if I'll just click on the extension, I will get a message that the extension can only be actually used when opened from a Drupal.org issue page. I open a Drupal.org issue page, and now if I'm going to click on the extension, I'll see the extension actually reading the whole page. The top part of it will give me some instructions of how can I work with issue fork between DrupalPod and this specific issue. After that, the extension goes ahead and analyzes the project name, whether it's core, module, or a theme, what version it is, does it have an issue fork with it, with this specific issue. The extension knows how to work with both issue forks and branches, which are here. The top is the latest one, as well as patches. Lots of patches in this issue. The latest one appear on top. I know that this specific issue is for 8.9. I can choose between standard, demo umami, and minimal. This issue is about demo umami. I'll choose that one. And then I'm ready to click on Open DevEnv button. When I click on that for the first time, I'll get a login to Gitpod. Gitpod is the system that DrupalPod is using in order to create these workspaces that we can work with. I have to choose continue with GitHub because DrupalPod is currently stored on GitHub. When I click on that, I'm gonna log into my GitHub account. I'm gonna put my code there as well. After doing that, I'll get this logo of Gitpod jumping, and now is the time where my workspace is being created. This usually takes between 30 to 60 seconds, where in the next video we'll show the actual interface. This is the interface of Gitpod, of DrupalPod. What we see here is, if you're familiar with VS Code, this is VS Code running in the browser. It might be a little overwhelming at the beginning if this is new for you. What we would see when we open DrupalPod, we're going to get a welcome screen that reminds us a little bit of what is happening on this interface. Basically at the bottom, there's a terminal running all the different commands and matching whatever we chose in the DrupalPod browser extension, all the choices we made, and setting them up here. And right now specifically, it's setting up umami with a special patch to create drop-down menu for languages. On the left side, we have all the files, the folders of the project. Over here is the main panel where code that we open would open right here. Over here we can choose extension. There's an important window panel for ports. You should know that the preview of the site that we're going to work with is using port 8080. When the whole installation finishes in the terminal, we will get the preview displayed on the right side of the screen. If I click on the magnifying glass here, I'll get the preview appear in VS Code, which we can see happen automatically when our project is ready. And as you can see, the patch was applied, and now the languages are appearing in a drop-down. If I'm clicking on the globe, it will open a new tab with my Drupal website. I can also choose if the port will be private or public by clicking on the lock screen here. Private means only I can see this URL, which is the name of the port, the port number, dash random name that Gitpod give each workspace. As long as it's private, only I can see this URL. If I'm going to click on the lock, and it will say public, now I can share this URL and other people can see that specific website I am working on. So now that we're a little more familiar with the VS Code interface in the browser, I'm going to go back to the File Explorer. I want to explain a little bit about the structure of how things are set up in DrupalPod. We can always choose to close the welcome screen. Now if I'll open from web and I'll go to index.php, double click, I'll get a tab of index.php. I still have the simple browser. Just like VS Code, you can actually split right, change these different panels and make it whatever is comfortable for you. Few things to know about what you can do here in the structure. Regarding VS Code, there are extensions. So there's some extensions that come from the actual project in DrupalPod, but you can install extension that you like. And this extension, every time you open DrupalPod to work on a Drupal issue, the extension you chose will continue with you. As you can see here, I'm using dark mode, but if you click on the gear on the bottom left, color theme, you can choose light mode, different kind of color schemes. I enjoy dark mode, so it remembers my choices and pick it up every time I open DrupalPod again. Going to the file structure, when you work on core and when you work on modules, you will see a normal website structure. For core, we're using a special package that allow us to do that with some limitations. Still working on making improvements there. You'll always notice a repos directory. Repos directory is the directory where the actual module or core is being symlinked into the web directory structure. Why is it important? Probably the changes you want to make are right here under repos. You can also make them directly in wherever whatever you did install, or let's say you wanna, if the project was admin toolbar, I could also update it from here, and repos would be the actual directory. When I make changes and clicking on source control, I'll get a list of all the changes that were made where I can push these changes through the Git, or I can manually create a patch on the terminal and then upload the patch to Drupal.org. So this is just a UI to show me what was changed. Because I was using a patch, it is showing me all these files that were changed in Umami profile accordingly. DrupalPod is utilizing a software called Ddf in order to manage the project. Ddf also allows us to, in theory, bring that whole project locally and work with it similar between users. Ddf configuration is under a directory called .ddf. The main one that you might be interested in making updates or changes is config YAML. The main thing I can think of where you would like to test another PHP version in upcoming browser extension updates, you'll be able to just choose that from the extension. But if you want to make a change here and choose a different version, PHP 7.3, you save this file, and then the command would be ddf restart. When you do ddf restart, it is shutting down all the services that are running the database and the web server and everything, and then starting it again. When it started again, it takes all the changes that I have made in config.yaml and apply them in here. So now I have PHP 7.3 running. Another command you probably would use, we have xdebug out of the box, ready to work. So the command I want to type is ddf space xdebug. I would get a message that xdebug was enabled. I'll open, let's say, index.php and mark my breakpoint. I'll go to this icon on VS Code and click on the play button here on top. And now the debugger is running. All what it's waiting for is for a page to be loaded. And now when I refresh this page, I can see that the breakpoint is already on. I can get all the information I need. I have a debug console, and I can go deep and analyze whatever I want. I can stop it right here. Going back to terminal, I can type ddf xdebug off, and then xdebug is off. In case I close the preview or I need it again, let's close it right here. I can go to the port panel. The port panel 8080 would allow me to open this by clicking here as a preview or clicking here to open it in a new tab. We also have a command in terminal. If we just type the word preview, a preview window would open with the website of the project that we're working on right here. Another feature we have as part of DrupalPod setup, we can type Phpstorm. Give it a few seconds, a new tab would open, and what you're gonna see now, clicking here on I confirm, continue, don't send, evaluate for free, and clicking on evaluate. They have a little bug with a green background. If you just change the size of the browser, it fixes itself. You're getting the tip of the day. And if you're familiar with Phpstorm, this is Phpstorm just run in the browser. Runs pretty well. As well here, xdebug would work out of the box with one caveat that I can show you right now. You have terminal right here. So in order to work with xdebug, ddf xdebug and make sure it's on, clicking on start listening, choosing a breakpoint over here, refresh the page, and this is a window I would get. All you want to choose is this one, Workspace DrupalPod Web Index PHP. When you do that and click accept, you get xdebug work within Phpstorm, as well as everything that you're familiar with when working with Phpstorm would work in the browser version of Phpstorm. In order to close it, you can just close the tab and you'll get back into here the VS Code window, which I can break it here and click clear. Okay. When you want to work with branches and issue forks, you would need to set up a one-time authentication between Gitpod and Drupal.org. In the welcome page, it will show you that this is the script to run. Sorry that it's complex. We are working on making it way simpler, but for now, this is a one-time setup. Will take 2 minutes to complete. So if I'll type this one, this script in the terminal, .gitpod /drupal /ssh /00 interactive -ssh -setup.sh, or copy paste it from the welcome screen, I'll get a dialog that says setup SSH, click on OK, and the next thing will happen is a window would show up here with some instructions. The instructions are fairly simple. You'd go to the Drupal.org user page, log in there. You should click on Git access and make sure you create a Git username if you don't have one. After that, you would click on SSH key, add a public key, copy the content below. Here, because I'm already set up, you don't see it, but otherwise you would see here the public key. So I would mark the key that is here, copy it, and in my user page, profile, SSH keys, I would click on add a public key. Over here, I would paste the key, title is optional, and hit save. When I'm done with that, then I go back to DrupalPod VS Code interface, clicking on OK, and then the project would be completed. I should also run gitpod/drupal/ssh04-confirm-ssh-setup.sh, because when that is confirmed, my SSH keys are being saved on my user in Gitpod. And that is the connection that I only need to set up once. And once that is done, I can run commands like git push, and that will go directly into the issue fork that, if I followed the DrupalPod extension instructions, would tell me exactly what needs to be done. And a project that was open like that, I can type git push, and I don't need to take care of any additional authentication. Again, we are working on making it much simpler, that all these scripts would not be needed, but it will take a couple weeks to get there.